When visiting a South French village, make sure to visit the beautiful House at the Bottom of the Lake. House at the Bottom of the Lake, you say? Well, what are we going to do when we get there? We're going to go inside the Deep House, which was written and directed by Alexandra Bastillo and Julia Mari, who directed Leatherface and more famously Inside, which has gotten a bit of a cult following in the last number of years, and stars Camille Rowe and James Jager, along with Eric Savine. And this is based around Tina, played by Camille, and Ben, played by James. He's got the moves like Jager. He's got the moves like Jager. Ooh, moves like Jager. So, I'll get into spoilers here in a little bit. This isn't as intense as Inside, I will say that right now, but there are certain elements that kind of stick. It's been a while since I've seen that, but I do remember seeing some stuff, holy shit, and there were a few moments of made me think, okay, this isn't all that bad. And I will say one positive about this movie, while it's not great, it does have a unique setting and pretty good atmosphere. Unfortunately, that's about where the uniqueness ends. Now, it is a small cast movie. Besides the extras, I think there's only maybe 6 other people that are featured. It's from Epix and Blumhouse and about 50 other goddamn studios. Seriously, they do 2 sets of credits. And it's you get one set and then you get the opening scene. And then you get a travel point with Tina and Ben, where more and more credits fly by and everything. And this movie's only 85 minutes long and we get 2 sets of credits. And then we get end credits. The movie's almost more of a concept. It sort of reminds me of Sea Fever. I reviewed that last year. That one was a little more fleshed out. But while it had some good atmosphere, it was also just kind of basic. So Tina and Ben basically explore haunted places and they are trying to make it big. Ben's trying to make it big with his video blog. And even though their videos are getting some pretty good views, they're not able to make a whole lot of money because, speaking from experience, it's really hard to make it big unless you go viral, as the kids say. I think the kids still say viral. They could be coming up with a whole bunch of other things because kids continue to constantly change their lingo. Kids are scaring me. You kids get off my goddamn lawn. Anyway, they explore exotic locations like they were in the Ukraine and, exploring this area where this nurse had poisoned a bunch of children, and oh my god, how could they do that? And there were some found footage moments. In fact, there were quite a few found footage moments in this movie. I was a little bit worried it was going to be all found footage. It's kind of a mixture. And Ben here has a drone, which is probably, where I think most of the budget went, because while there are some, beautiful shots, some good cinematography, the drone gets a lot of screen time. A lot of fucking screen time here. And then Tina she speaks both French and English. I assume that Camille Rowe is, French and English. I have no idea. I've never heard of her. She's beautiful. I'll say that much. Wouldn't mind seeing her in other stuff. And naturally exploring haunted locations, obviously, with Blumhouse involved. I'm surprised that, if it was anything other than a haunted location. So they travel to this French village, and this thing's kind of dilapidated. It's a dilapidated village, and they end up at this, lakeside area. It's not Camp Crystal Lake. Whatever the French version of Crystal would be, that's what it would be. It would be like that, except there's no Jason Voorhees. Or maybe there is. You don't know. You gotta wait for the spoilers. So there's apparently wine being served in, this, traveling delivery truck, because France, I guess. And he talks to this guy Pierre because he's trying to find out about, why is this lake, all these houses and everything that are supposed to be at the bottom of this lake because it's a man-made lake from all this flooding. This village got wiped out and they just built on top of it. It's like New York, except they're in France and nowhere near the same thing. So what happens is he talks to this guy Pierre, and he says, well, Pierre says for a small fee he'll take us to this location, that only he knows about and everything, and we'll be able to explore this perfectly intact house. How is a house perfectly intact underwater after so many goddamn years? How does Pierre know about it? Why aren't all these red flags that are obviously right in front of them saying it off to say, no, we'll just find something else that's not going to, potentially harm us to make our video blog bigger. But Tina, even though she is fearful of water, she decides to go along on this, and her and Ben end up exploring. And they do eventually find this house, and they find out that a lot of fish, a lot of creatures, sea creatures and everything, won't go around there. Gee, why won't the sea creatures go around there? Why is the house all sealed up? Why is so much of this stuff intact? What in the world is going on? Why are all these electronic devices seemingly still working? Why did the phone that they tried not snap in half when they tried, the little old dial phone? Why are there all these posters of, various things on there? Like, there's all these kids. What is going on here? Why are these? Why does it seem like there's strange shadows and noises and all this stuff? And maybe the house is alive. What's going on? Why are we exploring this? Why didn't we listen to the obvious, voices in the back of our head telling us that Pierre's probably got some kind of thing where he's in on this? Well, it turns out that in spoilers I'll get to, it turns out that all these things and more come home to roost, and maybe there's a bunch of stuff going on. Maybe the house becomes like in Ghostbusters, Favershon. I think that's how it was said. Maybe it's like that. No, it's not like that. The explanation actually is rather simple, and it's unfortunately, once the setting and everything, once that effect wears off, it becomes all about preserving their air and this couple of not very interesting characters. It's not even that the acting's bad, it's just the characters aren't very interesting. It's like they just came up with this idea of having a perfectly intact house that could or could not be haunted underwater. They put a couple of people in there. They put a weird fish that kept going around and everything. It was like a big, it was like a small shark or whatever, or a really, really large fish, or a big small fish in a little pond. No, it was in a lake. The whole point is, all this stuff, is just coming in and doing, just marinating, but then it gets to where once you get to the explanation, you're like, oh, okay, that's really it. That's it. It's got good atmosphere. The performances aren't bad. The characters are just bland, and you don't really give a shit what happens to anybody. That's kind of the unfortunate thing about it. It runs out of air, ironically, since they're underwater, and that's pretty much it. So now I'm going to get into spoilers. So there will be spoilers from here on out. 5, 4, 3. It's available on Amazon, by the way, if you want to purchase for $6. Spoilers! Okay, so basically the idea is that guy Pierre, it turns out that he's actually the son of the people that were in that flooded house or whatever, and he's sending them down there to be sacrificed because this was a satanic cult of sorts that kidnapped children from the village before the thing got flooded. Would have been really hard to get the kids down there afterwards. And there are people chained up in the basement that actually are the ghostly people. They're trapped and everything. And oh my God, they're all possessed and they're coming out and they're doing all this. They're coming out. And that's really about it there. I mean, Ben ends up, wanting to explore more and more stuff. Had they not gone in the house and just explored outside, guess what? Had they just sent the drone in there, it would have been fine. The drone ends up getting possessed somehow. Like multiple times. If at first they reset it and then it gets possessed, and that's never really fully explained. I guess just some ghosts decide to possess it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they saw into the future and they knew how to possess drones. They knew how to hack the goddamn thing and hack the Matrix. How are you the Matrix? But you got a possessed drone, you got ghosts and everything, and you got this weird, giant fishy eel thing. That's really about it. And also Tina hates snakes, so that factors in a little bit later on the whole deal. And they had an hour of air. And apparently this is told in real time or whatever. They're just exploring around the goddamn house. And I guess they're just fine. They're just totally fine to be down there for a goddamn hour. Even though they had to use some air to get down there. So you would have thought they would have just wanted to explore a little bit. And then maybe come back up and do that a little bit later. Nope, they explored the whole goddamn thing. It's still better than open water. Which, I mean, I've shat things out that were better than open water. But, it turns out that, Pierre is in on this whole goddamn thing. Ben ends up getting possessed at one point when they get separated because, hey, you got to keep them separated. They end up, Tina ends up having to basically stab him and try to escape, but her air basically runs out. She tries to get up, but the bends, because they were so goddamn below, it's just around the river beds. And the bends basically get her. If you don't know about the bends, when you're at a certain depth, you got to wait. Let your body acclimate because of the pressure, pushing down on you, pushing down on me, and then you got to wait. And then once it gets a little bit better, you can keep going. Depending on the depth, you can get back up just before your air runs out. Well, that doesn't quite work for her. She almost makes it because she was taking giant panic breaths because she did not become euphoric, docile. She did not accept her fate. She was not as calm as a Hindu cow. If you get that reference, I love you guys. But that's basically it. It just turned out that this house was a satanic cult thing, and they were sacrificing children, and then Pierre, and then at the end of the movie, at the very end credits, wait around until the very end of the credits if you want, and Pierre has 2 more girls that look like they literally couldn't spell scuba diving, never mind do it, and then that's it. Hinting at a sequel. We're going to get the Deep House 2, Electric Water Boogaloo. So yeah, that's really about it. C+. It isn't bad. It's just not great. So C+, I've seen worse, I'll say that much. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.